The hype train for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero keeps on moving forward because after we saw the new gameplay and the new Power vs. Speed trailer, everybody's hype for the game is at an all-time high. And because of that, it made me want to ask you guys this question on Twitter. So I asked, Dragon Ball community, talk to me. Now that we got to see the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero gameplay showcase and Power vs. Speed trailer, what are your initial thoughts on the game so far, and what would you like to see them improve? Might use this for a video. So today we're going to be going through a lot of the responses because I am extremely excited for this game and I really am curious to see what you guys are thinking. First off is my GOAT Paul. Like this is my homie right here, but Paul said the animation, energy, and overall vibes given off are very strong, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, to put things into perspective, we've had gameplay trailers and we've seen things concerning the game, sure, but those are all like segmented pieces for trailers. Whereas with the gameplay portion that we got a few days ago, we finally got to see things in real time. And that's what really has me excited because we actually got to see the intro sequence. We got to see characters flying around the stage. We got to see them charge. We got to see them use super attacks, ultimate attacks, and so much more. Of course, transformations as well. So just seeing all of that happen is absolutely impeccable. That is the best way to describe it. It's impeccable. Even something as simple as when we saw Goku Super doing his intro sequence, just jumping up and down and getting ready to fight, that's taken directly from Dragon Ball Super Broly. Even his transformation from Super Saiyan Blue is taken directly from Dragon Ball Super Broly. Seeing things like that, this game is gonna be an absolute masterpiece. And then my other GOAT, Fidel, chimed in. Again, this is my boy right here. But Fidel said, peak style, especially adore the aura and facial expressions. Only thing they need is more impact. When Goku doing that dash move, I want the body to swap a bit more, and also the camera tilts are hell weird sometimes, but besides that, peak gaming. Now, he's spitting facts, right? There are moments where the camera does act a little bit weird. Part of that was, there was a moment in the gameplay segment where Goku and Vegeta were kind of like real close to each other, but they were kind of like moving around really quickly, and the camera had a hard time keeping up. And also when there are some vanishes, the camera has a hard time getting back to, the back of the character. So there are some moments where the camera could, improve, but of course, obviously, as we saw on the bottom right of the gameplay segment, it's still under development, so I'm expecting them to, correct that issue. But adding more impact to the hits is something that not only myself, but I think a ton of other people have also noticed. When it came down to them, like landing normals or even some super attacks, it didn't really feel impactful. And I don't know if it's because maybe there isn't like screen shake, or there probably is, but it probably isn't like, visible enough, or maybe the sound effects when it comes down to attacks just aren't satisfying enough, for lack of better words. But I personally do also agree that they should find a way to make the moves feel a bit more impactful. But putting those to the side though, it is peak gaming. I mean, obviously there's definitely room for improvement. Of course, they're still working on the game. So yeah, like what we're seeing right now, they're gonna end up making it bigger and better by the time it ends up going to release. But what we saw was incredible. And I think it's actually a really good thing that we kind of preface this now. The gameplay that we got was still amazing. It was incredible. And that's our baseline for it could be better. Let that sink in. What we saw was incredible, but that's our baseline for it could be better. And we know the game is still in development. This game is going to be peak gaming, bro. There's no way around that. This game is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Oh my, I promise you I hate y'all, bro. There's just no way. Like, Yag510 said, I hope they change the way beam struggles are, I'm guessing they meant are done, not are down, or have multiple different ways to do them. Okay, so if I understand this correctly, they did change the way how beam struggles are executed in terms of actually controlling the beam struggle. We know in the previous games, you had to rotate the control stick. And I believe in one of the spin-offs, like, like either Raging Blast, Ultimate Skaichi, or whichever game, you had to mash the face buttons. But in this game, it seems to be more akin to like how ultimate attacks were executed in Budokai 3. Again, this is just like assumption because it could be different, but it's just what it seems like, where there's a bar that fills up and you need to press triangle at the right moment to try to fill up the bar as high as possible, and whoever has the most points from that will win the struggle. That's what it seems like. It could be entirely different, but that's just my inference on that. However, what I will say though is if there's multiple different ways to do beam struggles, there's quite literally only one other type of struggle that they could do, which has been done before in a spin-off game, and that's Ki Blast struggles. Now, what I mean by that is in Ultimate Tenkaichi, you did have beam struggles, but you also had Ki Blast struggles as well, where if you fired off like a salvo of blasts and the opponent fired off a salvo of blasts, then you could actually struggle to see who would win. If that was in Sparking Zero, I would scream, because I believe Ultimate Tenkaichi was the first game to do that, but it wasn't really done the best way, in my opinion. And I do believe that if that was in Sparking Zero, they could make it look absolutely immaculate. And plus, it'll give us like a extra like struggle option, apart from, you know, just whether like it's a physical like clash or beam struggles, we would have like Ki Blast struggles. That would be really cool. Now, do I think that's gonna be in Sparking Zero? Well, actually, who knows? I mean, it could be. There's still more to the game that we don't know about. But if it were to be in Sparking Zero, I'd be totally fine with that. I hope I don't butcher your name, but Diluvio? If I butchered your name, I'm so sorry. But they said, I need that screen shake back when you knock an opponent hard. I need that feel. Anyone who played Tenkaichi 2 and 3 will understand. All I see is impact frames, and the hits don't feel that impactful. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's like, obviously they're fighting, but there doesn't seem to be that much impact in their hits. Now, personally speaking, I think the impact frames are fine. I think it adds like an extra element to the game that wasn't initially in the older games, right? Especially if it's tying into like modern Dragon Ball and whatnot. Modern Dragon Ball has been having a lot more impact frames in like the anime, especially in the likes of Dragon Ball Super Broly. But yeah, there just needs to be like that extra oomph, you know? Like, again, screen shake, maybe different sound effects for like punching and whatnot, whatever the case may be, right? Like I said, the game is obviously still in development, so of course they're probably going to, you know, improve as time goes on. But as of right now, one thing definitely that not only myself but a few others have pointed out, it does need like a bit of extra oomph. But for the most part, apart from that though, still looks pretty fine. Again, if I butcher your name, I am so sorry. But is it Oidato? Hopefully I said that right. But they said, the game looks to be promising so far. I just hope they bring back defensive moves like the Sonic Sway in the previous games. Some of the animations look a bit stiff, but that can be ironed out as dev time passes. Also, I hope they don't fumble on single player content. Okay, so we haven't actually seen many defensive things when it comes down to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, apart from one particular thing, and that is a brand new mechanic in the game called the Revenge Counter. But it would be nice knowing if a lot of the defensive moves from the previous games also make a return, because we have the ultimate confirmation that darn near a ton of the offensive moves from Tenkaichi 3 are in this game, in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So unless they have like new defensive tactics that they're creating, then it would also be nice to have those tactics come back, especially again, Sonic Sway. Because when you're in the midst of a fight in Tenkaichi 3, for example, and then somebody's like trying to apply pressure, then all of a sudden you're just suddenly dodging absolutely everything and then retaliate with an attack. That's pretty cool, right? And of course there's other defensive tactics that they can bring back, but Sonic Sway is definitely one of prevalence, right? So yeah, having those defensive maneuvers come back on top of all the new stuff that's getting added in Sparking Zero would be incredible. And of course, single player content, I think that's probably gonna be one of the biggest things that they absolutely have to ensure is spot on. And the reason is because this will be the very first console Dragon Ball game to have base roster content from the Saiyan Saga all the way up to Dragon Ball Super Broly. This is the first one base roster. I have to emphasize that because Xenoverse does have that content, but it was added as DLC. Because remember, Xenoverse 2 came out while Super was still going, the anime. Whereas this game is coming when the anime is done. So again, they have to make sure that this story mode is mind-blowing. But I do have faith in them because when it comes down to the Tenkaichi story mode, they haven't ever really missed. Like, Tenkaichi 3 story mode is good. Tenkaichi 2 had free roam. If they, oh my goodness. If they add free roam back for Sparking Zero story mode, I'm gonna scream. because it's gonna look gorgeous. Heck, I'll even give some props to Ultimate Tenkaichi because even though that is a spin-off, it did also have free roam. Granted, their free roam didn't control as well as Tenkaichi 2, but it looked nice at the very least. So if we do get free roam, that would be really cool. If we don't, and it's kind of structured like how it is in Tenkaichi 3, that's fine as well. So long as they make sure that it's a good experience, then I'm fine. JJ No Jarrett said, it's graphically stunning. I'm praying that it lives up to the other BT titles. I have no doubts it'll be amazing. Though I truly am curious if they are going to bring back Red Patara characters and whether or not they will try to include every Dragon Ball character. Okay, so I think we can all agree that when it comes down to the visuals of this game, it looks really good. And that's especially in comparison to when we got the first like teaser all the way until now. Especially one thing that really makes me happy is with each trailer that we get for this game, remember, because we have a total of 3 trailers and 1 teaser, each trailer has shown some sort of graphical improvement. And I think that speaks volumes, right? Because, I mean, look at the first trailer and like Vegeta using Gallic Gun in comparison to like the second trailer and Vegeta using Gallic Gun then, and then even in the gameplay segment and Vegeta using Gallic Gun then, right? It looks different, obviously in a good way. You know, the graphics are slowly improving bit by bit, which is fantastic. So graphics, I don't think we have to worry about that. And also, I recently saw a tweet that showed Super Saiyan God Goku from the, you know, Goku and Vegeta trailer, and I believe a new screenshot that came out a few days ago, and it looks infinitely better. So again, graphics, I think we're fine. But Red Patara characters. Now, if you guys don't know, Red Patara characters are like characters that are darn near snapped, right? It made characters really, really powerful. So when you fought against them, you had like a good challenge. It would be really, really cool to see those type of characters make a return in Sparking Zero, whether it's Red Patara or whatever accessory they decide to make it as or whatever, just to include like some sort of extra difficulty. That would be really, really cool. Like, I know myself personally, I would love to at least have like some sort of challenge when it comes down to single player content, because in truth, story mode, there might be moments where it's like, oh, it's like a bit of challenge, but then you're more than likely gonna like breeze through the content. But maybe if there's a day where it's like I'm offline and I just wanna try to do something with like a Red Patara character, that'd be really cool. But again, only time will tell when it comes down to that. However, when we get down to including every Dragon Ball character, I think that there is a realization that we need to come to. So, as of right now, we know that the base roster for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, again, as of this moment, is 164 characters. And out of 164 characters, we have 151 confirmed right now. The thing is, a decent amount of those characters are from Dragon Ball Super, which means that all the characters from Tenkaichi 3 are not going to make it back. It's not possible. Or at least as of right now, concerning the base roster. If they want to do DLC, totally fine, and then they can include them that way. But not all of the characters from Tenkaichi 3 will make a return in Sparking Zero, and that's by default because of the new characters we have confirmed for this game. So, as of right now, something's telling me Dragon Ball is probably not going to be in Sparking Zero. And something's telling me that GT, there's a possibility, but worst case scenario, it will end up being DLC. But either way though, every Dragon Ball character is probably not going to happen base roster. DLC, maybe. But base roster, there's no way for it to happen because of all the new characters that have been announced. Julian12500061, all the numbers, every single one. They said, I love this game. The fights they showed, the transformations, just overall love this game. I really think the game looks amazing. I just wish they would update us more and give us a release date. But one thing I would love to see is them add stage transition. Okay, so again, we talked about like how like the game looks, you know, and how it's been playing, it looks great. Nothing with that, but I never really considered stage transitions before. And I guess the reason is because stage transitions aren't common in Dragon Ball games anymore. Because we've seen things like that in the Budokai series, like ever since Budokai 1. But in recent time, the only game to really add stage transitions is Fighters. That's it. Xenoverse doesn't do it. Legends doesn't do it. Dokkan, I don't think is structured to do it. But yeah, we don't really see games get stage transitions anymore. So maybe if you land like a crazy attack and you send like the opponent flying, they fly from like maybe the rocky area to like the plains area or wasteland or wherever, right? Like it would be really cool to have something as ultimately dynamic as that, right? But is that gonna happen? I'm not too sure, because again, that's not something that's ever been in the Tenkaichi series. That's the thing. Like it was never in the mainline games. It wasn't even in the spin-offs. So I don't think stage transitions like that would happen. However, if you're talking about stage transitions like, for example, Frieza dropping like the death ball on Namek and it changes it from like regular Namek to dying Namek, I would love to see something like that. I think that'd be really cool. And those type of like transitions have been in previous games. So again, if we're talking about stage transitions like Fighters does it, it will be really cool, but I don't think that'll happen. If we're talking about it like how it's been in the previous games where you just destroy an area and it changes the entire field, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. I'm probably going to butcher this name, but is it Mazafezio? I really hope I said that right, but Mazafezio77 said, them showing fusions, some units going from X transformation to base, and the most important for me, at least how Zamasu will work. Can he go to Fusion Zamasu? Can he start the match as half-corrupted Fusion Zamasu, or you need to transform in-game? Okay, so I'm actually really glad that you brought this up, because I had this exact conversation in a live stream a few days ago. So when it comes down to them showing fusions, just in a general retrospect, yes, please. Like, I would love to see Gogeta. That'd be really cool. Obviously Vegito as well. But really, even though I know Gogeta and Vegito will be cool, especially because of, Vegito Blue and Gogeta Blue, I actually really want to see Kefla, and I really want to see Fuse Zamasu, because again, even though Vegito Blue and Gogeta Blue have never been in the Tenkaichi series before, the characters Vegito and Gogeta have been. Whereas with Kefla and Fuse Zamasu, they've never been in the Tenkaichi series. So I really want to see those two in particular when it comes down to fusions. And then of course, another fusion would be Gotenks. But, oh wait, I didn't even realize, if Superhero ends up being base roster, actually having like fat, like teen Gotenks would be pretty cool. That'd actually be pretty cool. But apart from that though, seeing characters go from like whatever transformation they're on to like reverting back to the base form would be cool. We did have that potential like possibility in the recent gameplay, but of course they never did so. And I'm pretty sure nobody like wanted to see in that particular moment them reverting from Super Saiyan Blue back to base, because everybody wants to see like Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta in action. But it would be cool to see them revert just to see like how that looks like. But apart from that too, Fuse Zamasu. Again, this is the thing that I had a conversation about in my recent live stream. So Fuse Zamasu is absolutely going to be in this game. There is zero chance that he will not be. And the reason is because we know Future Trunks from Dragon Ball Super is in the game. So we know that his arc is going to be playable in story mode. And the main, not protagonist, the main antagonist of that arc is Zamasu, right? And by extension, that includes Goku Black and of course Fuse Zamasu, and of course Fuse Zamasu have corrupted. So there is zero possible chance that any iteration of Zamasu will not be in this game. There's no way in the world, right? I'm talking about Zamasu, Goku Black, especially Rose, and then of course Fuse Zamasu and Fuse Zamasu have corrupted. They're all important characters of that arc. There's no way they won't be in the game. And of course, with that, I'm pretty sure they can have like a really cool trailer when it comes down to those characters in particular. Like if they really don't want to have like a all fusions trailer or whatever the case may be, if they want to do like a Future Trunks trailer, right? I'm down to see that, because if they show Rose, it's over, bro. This game is actual peak, like beyond peak actually, if they show Rose. But really seeing Fuse Zamasu would be really cool. I mean, Blades of Judgment, Lightning of Absolution, Divine Wrath, Holy Wrath, like seeing all of those moves would be really cool. And of course, if he's able to transform from Fuse Zamasu to Fuse Zamasu have corrupted. And the good thing about the Tenkaichi series is even if you transform, like you can still transform into a giant and have them be fully playable. And a prime example of that would be in the Tenkaichi series, you were able to use Kid Goku and transform into Grade 8 Goku. Like that was a thing. So again, in Sparking Zero, transformations, in-game transformations anyway, are already confirmed. They've been confirmed, and we saw that in the recent gameplay. So with Fuse Zamasu, if he's in the game, which obviously he will be, we haven't seen him yet, If he has access to his half-corrupted form, then of course, if he's considered a giant, I expect him to be playable. And if he is, that's gonna be nice, because I think the only modern Dragon Ball game that has him as a giant is Xenoverse, and he's not playable in Xenoverse. Like, half-corrupted specifically. Fusamasu is, half-corrupted is not. So, well, I think, except for like a very specific game mode in Xenoverse 2, where I believe he is playable. I don't remember with that, but he is a giant in Xenoverse 2, but under normal circumstances, he's not playable. This game can fix all of that. Slade Warrior 55 said, I believe the game will turn out well. I was not born for the original Tenkaichi games and hope this one is as good as everyone says Budokai 3 is. I'm assuming they meant Tenkaichi 3. As for improvements, some of the animations look a bit janky and the aura looks a little weird on the models. Still very excited. Okay, so just quickly touching upon like the last part of that, what this person said. So when it comes down to the animations, again, there are obviously room for improvement concerning the animation with the characters. Although for the most part, I do think the animations do look nice, but there is always room for improvement. And again, the game is obviously still under development. And when it comes down to the aura, I think the aura looks fine. I think the aura looks perfectly fine. Like, especially when they're charging their ki from whether they're going from like 0 to like 5 bars of ki, and especially when they start charging into high tension, I think that looks great. Maybe they can do it for like when they transform, because the aura that is like behind like Goku and Vegeta when they turn into Super Saiyan Blue could be a bit better. Like maybe the aura could be like slightly larger, but in all honesty, it's not really something I'm ultimately paying attention to, because personally speaking, I think that the aura looks fine. But I do understand where like anybody would come from if they say like, oh, the aura could look better. I completely understand. But putting that to the side, I've said this before in videos, and I think it's important for me to say it now. And I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching this portion of the video can agree if they're from the time of when the Tenkaichi series was a thing. The Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi series was one of the greatest Dragon Ball gaming experiences you could ever hope for growing up. Those games were darn near staples in every household of someone who owned a PS2. Again, there were multiple defining games for that console, and pretty much the Tenkaichi series was one of those games where if you didn't have it, you did not have a PS2, right? And there's only a handful of games that had that type of power, right? And the Tenkaichi series was one of them. So knowing that people love that series so much to the point where if you don't have the game, you darn near don't have the console, speaks volumes. And if it's anything to go by, when they showed us the teaser last year for Sparking Zero, the reception also speaks volumes. Everybody lost their minds because this series is held to such a high regard. And again, it's not a spin-off. This is a mainline game. And I've said this before, I've said this in videos, I've said this in streams, and I think I've said it on Twitter as well. And it's no slight to any other Dragon Ball game out there, but the example I use is a modern Dragon Ball game compared to this up-and-coming game. The Xenoverse series, I believe, is actually a great series, right? I do still play Xenoverse, but I've said with my entire chest, I've told people to quote me on this, I've told them to do whatever it takes to make sure this is etched in stone from what I'm saying. Xenoverse, I love the series, but it will not hold a candle to Sparking Zero. There's no possible way it will. Sparking Zero, the Tenkaichi series just as a whole, is on a completely different tier. Again, no slight against Xenoverse 2 at all. I do still love Xenoverse 2, but Tenkaichi's on a whole different tier. I'm gassing this up because that's how much confidence I have in Sparking Zero. So again, with all of us like who have grown up with the Tenkaichi series telling you guys to get hype, it's for a good reason. Get hype. This series is worth getting excited for. My man Pokey, okay? This is another homie of mine, but Pokey said it's gonna take a lot for a new Dragon Ball game to top this new Beam Clash. The new Beam Clash is god tier, and I completely agree. Look, we've had beam struggles in a lot of Dragon Ball games, right? And it's always been a really, really hype moment in them because again, it's literally something that everybody loves seeing in Dragon Ball, both the anime and the games. Just you're firing off 2 blasts and whoever wins the struggle gets to win the battle, but it looks really, really cool. The thing is, beam struggles haven't been in modern Dragon Ball games for a while. Sticking specifically to the console games, the only game in this current generation that has beam struggles is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and I believe that's it. because I know Xenoverse 2 doesn't have it. Fighters definitely doesn't have it. Heroes doesn't have it. It's not possible. And I believe those are the only modern games that are at least coming off the top of my head. So again, Beam Struggles is a massive deal. And we did get a teaser of it from the very first trailer, but now we got to see it in action. And again, the cherry on top is the fact that they could have made it look like anything, right? It could have just been like two blasts clashing and then, oh, like, you know, it's kind of generic, right? Still would have been cool, but it'd be generic. But they went above and beyond. Never in my life was I expecting them to do the dimension break from Dragon Ball Super Broly to emphasize Beam Struggles. That's godlike. There's no way to make that better than that. Like, that is incredible. So again, Beam Struggles in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, super hyped for that because the way they went about creating them was perfection. Unwilled Gecko said, polish up on some animations and models, fix up some of the voice clips from cutting in and out, also noticed reused voice clips from Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and maybe adjust how the camera movement as it does feel a little jarring. Other than that, the game looks great. Okay, so we've already talked about animations and we've already talked about the camera and stuff, so I'm not gonna focus on those again. However, there is something that I really do wanna focus on, and that is the voice lines. Now, there was one moment in the gameplay segment where Goku's voice did cut out, and that was when he was using his ultimate attack. So when he was saying break through the limit, the through portion, like when he said break through, that part got cut out midway. So it was kind of like break the limit, right? So yeah, they definitely should fix that. But again, like I said, under development, they're still working on the game. So I don't think that's gonna be too big of a deal. But this next thing I'm about to talk about could be a problem. So this depends on if they count these as placeholders or not. Personally speaking, like I think these are placeholder clips for now, but they were definitely reused voice clips from the older Tenkaichi games in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, or at least from the gameplay showcase that we saw. Now, there are two reasons as to why this would be a bad idea. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love the old voice clips. Again, I grew up with the Tenkaichi series. Like, so all the nostalgia that I'm getting from hearing that is there. But in a general retrospect, it's not a good idea for two very specific reasons. The first reason is it's been almost 2 decades since Tenkaichi 3. And we know that the voice actors of those characters have come so far ahead from their previous work. So I feel as if for the voice actors, it would be a disservice for them not to use like all the new techniques and skills and like all the refinement that they've had throughout the years. Like they wouldn't be able to use that in this game and they just get like, you know, their voice clips from older games thrown in there. I think that does them a major disservice. I think like they absolutely deserve the chance to have completely new voice clips for the characters. Like again, you can even hear it in the gameplay showcase where you hear a mixture of some of like the new battle grunts that Goku's doing, and then compared to the older battle grunts, it's night and day. Again, not saying the older work is bad, but it just doesn't really hold up to the newer work. That's what I'm trying to get at. So again, they've come so far ahead over almost the past 2 decades since Tenkaichi 3's release. I think they deserve to have new voice clips, personally speaking. But also, we have the second problem. And this is something that has happened and is in a game that's out. Anybody could get it. Even though it may not be a mainline game, Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi actually did decide to have characters have a mixture of their old voice clips and new voice clips. And that posed a massive problem, especially for 2 particular characters. And those characters are Teen Gohan and Frieza. Now, if you guys don't know, Teen Gohan and Frieza have multiple voice actors, right? The old voice actor for Teen Gohan was Stephanie Nadolny, and the current voice actor is Colleen Klinkenbeard. And for Frieza, Frieza's had 3 voice actors, but at the time of Ultimate Tenkaichi, there were only 2. And those voice actors are Linda Young, that was the original voice actor of Frieza, Chris Ayers was the new voice actor at the time, and the current voice actor is Damon Mills. But of course, Damon Mills wasn't the voice actor of Frieza then. So the issue with Ultimate Tenkaichi is they mixed all of those clips in that game. Like, so we had 2 characters that had 2 different voice actors in the game, and it was horrible. It was bad. And again, you can go and look up story mode and see segments of Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan, and I believe it was either First Form Frieza or Final Form Frieza, and you can go and check those out, and you can hear how jarring it is, because it's not normal for them to have different voices like that. There needs to be something consistent. And that all stemmed from the fact that they decided to use old voice clips and new voice clips. So again, like I said, nothing against all the old actors' performances and all that stuff. Like, I do like that and I have nostalgia with it, but we've come almost 2 decades from that point. They do deserve to have new clips, and I really don't want them to repeat the mistake of throwing in old clips with new clips in a modern game and having their voice performance sound completely jarring because it's inconsistent. Crispin P said, I thought the game looked great. It looked like they fixed the hair glitches from the first few trailers, but my only problem has got to be the HUD. It looks a little too thin and small for me. If it looked like a mix of Xenoverse and BT3, then I think it would be perfect. I'm actually gonna go on the contrary of that and say, I think the HUD looks perfectly fine. I don't think that there really is any adjustment that they need to make to the HUD, because when it comes down to displaying all the information concerning your character, it's done to the point where everything is clear and concise, right? You can see every bit of information concerning them as clear as day. So I really don't think that they need to adjust anything, especially because the design of the HUD is akin to how it was in Tenkaichi 3, but just, you know, updated and modernized. That's really it. A majority of the placement when it comes down to all the information is relatively in the same spot. So again, I really don't think that they need to adjust anything concerning the HUD. I think it looks perfectly fine. Mystic DBL said, I'm loving the way the game looks and my expectations are super high. Everything that we've seen looks incredible. I can't wait to see what they have in store that we haven't seen. I also can't wait for the Fusion announcement. Okay, so again, like I've been saying throughout this entire video, the game looks incredible. Again, like I said, baseline is all the stuff that we've seen, and the fact that there's more that can improve already speaks volumes, right? Not to mention, I mean, this game is running on Unreal Engine 5, so just knowing that this is the first Dragon Ball game to take advantage of that type of like engine is insane. And of course, we did talk about fusions earlier in this video, but just thinking about it just in a general retrospect, just seeing Vegito, Gogeta, Gotenks, Kefla, Fuse Zamasu, just seeing them going crazy in this game is gonna be, it's gonna be unreal. It's gonna be absolutely unreal, especially when we get to see in-game fusions. Because of course, if team battles are in this game, in-game fusions have to be a thing, right? In-game fusions haven't been a thing in Dragon Ball games in a very, very long time. Now that I think about it, like I believe Dragon Ball Z Kakarot added that. I could be wrong about that, but that was added as like DLC later on. But inherently just built into the game, we haven't had in-game fusions in so long. I mean, Xenoverse doesn't have in-game fusions. Fighters doesn't have in-game fusions. What else? Heroes. Actually, no, Heroes does have in-game fusions. So I guess there is that, and that is in relative recent time. But in a general retrospect, just in-game fusions is gonna look so cool, man. It was always a cool thing in the Tenkaichi series. Heck, it was cool in Raging Blast. So just knowing that in-game fusions, if team battles are back, would also be back. Oh my goodness, man. Papa Squat YPC said, I just want Ultra Ego Vegeta, man. We got UI Goku and Beast Gohan and then just Vegeta. My hopes are high though. Okay, so again, this is very unfortunate, but like everybody, or I would say most people do know this. But Ultra Ego Vegeta, Black Frieza, and other characters from the manga, unfortunately, if they're not animated, they will not be in the video games. This is general knowledge. Everybody, or again, most people I should say, do know this. Do I want Ultra Ego Vegeta, Black Frieza, and all of them to be in the games? Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be so cool. That would be absolutely insane to have actual like manga characters in the games. That would be incredible. But unfortunately, the rule of thumb is if they're not animated, they don't get put into the games. So as much as I would love to see it, is it going to happen in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero? No. This one right here, this is how I know for a fact this dude played Tenkaichi. This entire statement screams, I played the OG games. I know this dude has. But DL, who was that 1212 said, I'm excited to see where the game goes next. I'm hoping they can include some customization to characters like alternate costumes and include some what-if battles or missions to complete. Also wishing for a jukebox of the previous Budokai Tenkaichi music OST and other DBZ OST. I know this dude has played Tenkaichi, bro. That entire statement screams that. But what I will say though is alternate outfits. In the Tenkaichi series, alternate outfits were a thing. I'm talking about whether it's, you know, the characters with their original outfits, and then the next outfit would be maybe the battle damaged version or a different color of that outfit or whatever the case may be. And then the third outfit would be a completely different outfit, right? And then maybe some characters had a fourth outfit, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, different outfits, absolutely. And also some customization options to characters would honestly be pretty cool. I don't remember. No, the Tenkaichi series did have that. I remember Tenkaichi 2, you had the Pataras, if I'm not mistaken, in like Tenkaichi 2, and you can use that to boost stats on your characters. I do remember that, and I don't remember how it was in Tenkaichi 3. It's been so long. But customizing your characters like that would actually be pretty cool. And then on top of all of that, a jukebox, bro. A jukebox? Yeah, I need that. Like, for those of you who have not ever like dabbled into like the Tenkaichi series, the Tenkaichi series has got music, bro. I'm talking about straight heat, that like some actual flames, right? So having a jukebox feature would be nice, and I'm pretty sure the older Tenkaichi games did have those features, right? Where I don't remember if it was like in like sounds or options or whatever the case may be, but you're able to actually go in and just hear the OST in the game, right? And I know for a fact Raging Blast did have a jukebox feature as well. Now, do I think that they would do it of the previous games? Probably not, because they're gonna want people to focus on the newer music. If they were to include that, look, if not only were they to include that, but we also had the option of picking like a specified song just to play in general, kind of like how Xenoverse 2 does it, and we had access to the older Tenkaichi songs, Lost Courage is never coming off. Point blank, Lost Courage is always staying on. But do I think it's gonna happen? Probably not. Is it possible? Absolutely. And if it did happen, would I be down for it? 100%. But apart from that though, this dude's definitely played Tenkaichi. That's all I can say about this. Again, alternate outfits would be fire, and a jukebox feature would be incredible. A-Town Gaming HD said, Tenkaichi levels of excitement. Hoping for some cool clash animations and dialogue during the fights. I want acknowledgement between Broly and Kale. I want Goku Black to curse out Jiren? I want it all. Well, I don't know where the Goku Black and Jiren part comes from, but I'm all for it. So there's that. But apart from that though, the next part, I want acknowledgement between Broly and Kale. I've been saying this for years. I want a game where Broly and Kale acknowledge each other and just throw hands. And the best thing about that is in the Power versus Speed trailer, we see that. We finally get to see that, right? Like, I don't know if that's like story mode or something like very specific or whatever the case may be, but just the fact that there is acknowledgement between Broly and Kale in this game is gonna be mind-blowing, because I don't believe that any Dragon Ball game actually has that type of acknowledgement for Kale and Broly. Like, I think maybe in Xenoverse 2, because Super Saiyan 2 Kale is in that game, and obviously Full Power Super Saiyan Broly is in that game, and I think they have dialogue. I don't remember, but I'm talking about Berserk Kale and Full Power Super Saiyan Broly. That's what I want to see, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, no game has any type of interactivity between those characters like that, right? And just knowing that this game is gonna cover that is great. It's gonna be mind-blowing. I'm talking about Berserk Kale versus Full Power Broly, and they just throw hands, especially because their power is very similar in nature, because it comes from them having a lot of power and not being able to control it, right? So seeing them go toe-to-toe against each other is gonna be insane. I can't wait to see how that plays out in Sparking Zero. Andrew M51901, again, all the numbers, said, absolutely love the gameplay in this showcase. It fills me with so much nostalgia and I love it. Also, Kakunsa being here is awesome, and I can't wait to use her. However, I'm not a fan of the camera itself, as it kind of made me sick, but other than that, I have no complaints. So again, I've already talked about the camera a lot, so I'm not really going to touch on that. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this is the fact that Kakunsa was shown off. Now, of course, Kakunsa is part of Ribrianne's crew from Universe 2. And, you know, they're all about the power of love and all that stuff, you know, sure. But I think having Kakunsa in the roster and having her being shown off now is one of the biggest flexes that the devs could do for Sparking Zero. Because let this sink in, right? The main 3 characters for Ribrianne's crew is Kakunsa, Rosie, and obviously Ribrianne. But the fact that they showed them in comparison to like other characters that can be in is like the devs saying, yeah, no, we got the characters, right? That's what that screams to me. It's Kakunsa being shown off now screams, nah, bro, we got y'all. We got them characters. Now, again, like I said, we don't know if movie characters will be in the game apart from the canon movies, because again, Dragon Ball Super Broly is a movie, but it's canon. So of course he's in the game, and we've already seen all of his forms in the game. Superhero, that's to be determined. We don't know if that'll be base roster or not. I hope it'll be, really hope it'll be. If it's not, then maybe that'll be DLC. Actually, not even maybe, it will be DLC. There's no way it won't be. But non-canon stuff, like, you know, the other movies and all that stuff, we'll have to see if those characters get added or if maybe some of them are base roster, right? Like the Z version of Super Gogeta, the Z version of Broly, Cooler, that's another one, right? Actually, I'd be really surprised if Cooler was not in the game now that I think about it. So no, I revise what I say. I expect movie characters to be in the game, because if Cooler's not in the game, something's wrong. But apart from that though, just knowing that Kakunsa is one of the first few characters that they're showing off for this game, again, the first 51 characters out of 164 speaks volumes. Like, I'm talking about very loudly. She's in the game, they got them characters, bro. Dre5115 said, I'm truly excited. The gameplay looks great, the action, animations, etc. all look flawless. My one main concern is the storage and potential lag that it may have, but even then, I don't mind that potential that much. Okay, so again, the gameplay looking great, you know, the animations, the actions, all that, I do agree. Although there is one thing that I haven't really saw many people talking about, and that is the animation of like when characters are charging their ki, right? The way how Goku's hair, for example, was like flowing with the ki charging. Even his clothes were reacting to him charging his ki was awesome. That's like next level attention to detail that we don't get in Dragon Ball games at all. So again, just seeing things like that, really, really cool. I love the fact that that type of detail is in there. But in terms of the storage and potential lag, the storage, I mean, yeah, like the game could be a large size, so the only thing I can really say about that is if you have a PS5 and you don't have room, you gotta make room for the game. That's really all I can say. Either that or get like an SSD. That's really it, because there is obviously the potential chance that the game could be large, right? And if it is, and you want the game, you have to make space for it. So there is that. But the potential lag, this is actually a very, very important thing, because obviously there are rumors of the game being online only. And I mean that in the sense of there's no offline multiplayer, right? Of course, like there's going to be single player, but predominantly if you want to play with your friends, you'd have to play online. So if that's the case, and there really is no offline multiplayer, the online for that game has to be godlike. It has to be godlike. There's no room for error with that, because if there are no offline options apart from story mode, and the only way we're able to interact with our friends with that game is to play online, those servers have to be the most stable thing in all of mankind. Like, quite literally, okay, like exaggerations aside, lag is inevitable. Lag is inevitable, it will happen. But it at least has to be to a tolerable degree. And I mean, or what I mean is, even though it's to be expected, it can't define the experience, right? If I'm punching the opponent, like let's say that my opponent's not blocking, right? I'm punching them. I expect each hit to connect properly. I don't expect my opponent to be teleporting all over the stage. I don't expect like glitches of they shoot a blast to the Shadow Realm and I'm on the other side of the map and I get hit by it. Like I don't want any of that type of stuff to happen, right? This game is too important for the Dragon Ball IP for them to mess up. They cannot make a mistake with this. So again, the potential lag is inevitable, but they need to make sure that they take darn near every countermeasure to ensure that even though there is inevitable lag, the experience will still be overall smooth. To be honest, there were so many comments that I know I can't get through them all, but I think that speaks a lot about this game because everybody's excited for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Everybody can't wait to get their hands on the game, and of course, everybody wants the game to be the best possible Dragon Ball game it could be. People do have some concerns, and people obviously want to see the game improve, but overall, we are all excited for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. They're cooking up something extremely special with this game, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. But I do want to know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero as of right now, and what are some things that you would like to see them improve on as well? Again, let me know in the comment section below. But with that being said, I'm Ndukauba, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.